Welcome. We're working through the great book written by Thomas Brooks so many years ago called Precious Remedies Against Satan's Devices. And we are now in chapter 7. Chapter 7, speaking of device number 7, is by making the soul bold enough to take risks with situations that lead to sin. So Thomas Brooks writes, "Now the seventh trick that Satan uses to lead the soul into sin is by making the soul bold enough to take risks with situations that could lead to sin. Satan says, you can walk by the prostitute's door even if you wouldn't go into her bed. You can sit and drink with the drunkard even if you don't get drunk with them. And you can admire Jezebel's beauty. And you can flirt and play with Delilah, even if you don't commit wickedness with either of them. You can handle the golden wedge like Achan, even if you don't steal it," and so on. The first remedy to consider is those scriptures that explicitly command us to avoid the occasions of sin and even the slightest appearance of evil. 1 Thessalonians 5:22, "Abstain from all appearance of evil." Whatever is heterodox, unsound, unsavory, shun it as you would a serpent in your path, or poison in your food. Theodosius tore up the Arians' arguments presented to him in writing, because he found them contrary to the Scriptures, and Augustine retracted even ironies because they had the appearance of lying. When God commanded the Jews to abstain from swine's flesh, they wouldn't even name it, but would call a sow another thing in their common talk. To abstain from all appearance of evil means to do nothing where sin appears, or which has a shadow of sin. Bernard glosses finely, "Whatever is of ill show, or of ill report, that he may neither wound conscience nor credit. We must shun and be shy of the very show and shadow of sin, if we care about our reputation abroad, or our comfort at home." It was good advice that Livia gave her husband Augustus. It behooves you not only to avoid doing wrong, but also to avoid seeming to do so. So, and others save with fear, pulling them out of the fire, hating even the garments spotted by the flesh. Jude 23. This phrase is taken from legal uncleanness, which was contracted by touching the houses, vessels, or garments of unclean persons. Under the law, men should not touch a menstrual cloth, nor would God accept a spotted peace offering. So we must not only hate and avoid gross sins, but also everything that may carry a hint or suspicion of sin. We must abhor the very signs and tokens of sin. Proverbs 5:8 says, "Remove thy way far from her, and come not near the door of her house." He who does not want to be burned must fear the fire. He who does not want to hear the bell must not meddle with the rope. To venture upon the occasion of sin and then pray, "Lead us not into temptation," is like thrusting your finger into the fire and then praying that it might not be burned. Enter not into the path of the wicked, and go not in the way of evil men. Avoid it, pass not by it, turn from it, and pass away. Proverbs 4:14-15. This triple graduation of Solomon shows with great emphasis how necessary it is for people to flee from all appearance of sin, as the seamen shun sands and shelves, and as people shun those with plague sores running upon them, as weeds endanger the corn, as bad humors endanger the blood, or as in infected houses endangers the neighborhood, so does the company of the bad endanger those who are good. Intimacy with wicked companions is one of the strongest chains of hell, and binds us to a participation in both sin and punishment. The second remedy against this trick of Satan is to seriously consider that usually you can't conquer sin without avoiding the situations that lead to it. It is impossible for someone to overcome sin if they keep flirting with the things that cause it. God won't remove the temptation unless we turn away from the situations that lead to it. It's fair and just for God to let someone fall into a pit if they insist on dancing on the edge of it, and for someone to become a slave to sin if they won't avoid the situations that lead to sin. As long as there is something in our hearts that can catch fire from temptation, we can't be safe. If you have gunpowder on you, you need to stay far away from sparks. Rushing into situations that lead to sin is like tempting yourself and inviting Satan to tempt you. It's very rare for anyone to play with situations that lead to sin and not get trapped by it. God seldom keeps someone from committing sin if they won't stay away from situations that lead to it. Trying to deal with the sin while putting yourself in tempting situations is like trying to put out a fire with oil, which only fuels and increases it. Oh, souls, remember how often you've been overcome by sin when you've boldly walked into tempting situations. Look back on the days of your foolishness, when you were easily conquered and defeated whenever you played with situations that lead to sin. So if you want to be kept from sinning in the future and want to be victorious over sin, flee from the situations that lead to sin. The third remedy against this trick of Satan is to seriously consider that other precious saints, who were once glorious on earth and are now celebrating in heaven, have turned away from the occasions of sin as if they were hell itself. You can see this in Joseph in Genesis 39:10, where it says, "And it came to pass as she spoke to Joseph day by day, that he did not listen to her, to lie by her, or be with her." Joseph was famous for all the 4 cardinal virtues. If anyone ever faced this temptation, you could see his fortitude, justice, temperance, and prudence, and that he avoided the occasion. A person shows their true character in a temptation, which is just a tap to release corruption. The Nazarite could not only drink wine, but also not taste a grape or the husk of a grape. The leper had to shave his hair and trim his nails. The devil considers a fitting occasion as half a conquest because he knows that corrupt nature has a seed plot of all sin, which when drawn out and watered by some sinful occasion, quickly leads to death and destruction. God will not remove the temptation until we remove the occasion. A bird is safe while aloft, but is in danger when it comes near the snare. Avoiding the occasions of sin makes a person most like the best of men. A soul that is eminently gracious dares not come near the trap, even if it is far from the blow. So Job 31:1 says, "I made a covenant with my eyes. Why then should I think upon a maid? I set a watch at the entrance of my senses, so that my soul might not be infected and endangered by them." The eye is the window of the soul, and if it is always open, the soul might suffer for it. A person should not look intently at something they may not love entirely. The disciples were amazed by the beauty of the temple. It is best and safest to always have the eye fixed on the highest and noblest objects, like a mariner's eye fixed on the star, while their hand is on the stern. So David, when he was himself, avoided the occasion of sin. Psalm 26:4-5. "I have not sat with vain persons, neither will I go in with dissemblers. I have hated the congregation of evildoers, and I will not sit with the wicked." Stories speak of some who could not sleep when they thought of the trophies of other worthies who were before them. The highest and choicest examples are very motivating and should be to everyone. Oh, that the examples of those worthy saints, David, Joseph, and Job, might encourage all your souls to shun and avoid the occasions of sin. Everyone should strive to be like them in grace if they desire to be equal with them in glory. He who shoots at the sun, though he falls far short, will shoot higher than he who aims at a shrub. It is best, and it speaks much of Christ within, to focus on the highest and worthiest examples. The fourth remedy against this trick of Satan is to seriously consider that avoiding the occasions of sin is a sign of grace and something that sets a person above most others in the world. A person truly shows their character when faced with temptation. When sinful opportunities present themselves, it reveals both the truth and strength of grace. Like Lot, a person can remain pure in Sodom. Like Timothy, live modestly in Asia among the indulgent Ephesians. Like Job, walk uprightly in the land of Uz, where people were profane in their lives and superstitious in their worship. Like Daniel, be holy in Babylon. Like Abraham, be righteous in Chaldea. And like Nehemiah, be zealous in Damascus. Many wicked people are full of sinful corruption, but don't show it because they lack the opportunity. But a truly good person will not act badly, even when tempted. A person without Christ not only fails to refuse sinful opportunities, but actively seeks and longs for them. They will even buy them with love, money, or the loss of their soul. Only grace can protect a person against the occasions of sin when strongly tempted. Therefore, if you want to nurture a precious sign of the truth and strength of your grace, avoid all sinful occasions. Thanks very much for listening in. Hope it was helpful. Please share with others if you think so. And I hope to see you next time.